So this video is going to sum up the last of my AQUASCAPE in this tank. The tank, the Fluval tank that I'm using right now, I've done all the rock work I'm going to do. I just wanted to give you a heads up on what the video is about. Basically, it's going to be a quick rundown of the last bit of rock that I make for the tank, installing it in the tank, and then also I come across some rock that was abandoned. Basically, it was turned into a pet shop. It was basically half dried out, half cured, half still alive, half rotten. It stunk. I cleaned it all up. I bleached it. I showed a little bit of that in here. I took some steps to make sure the bleach was out so I could use it again. The rock itself, it ended up coming out quite well. It's all pretty nice and clean. It's just nice and dry now. I got a whole, this is all just extra. I mean, there's that much rock that I got. I just wanted to mention, if you are looking at doing this on a budget, if you put an advertisement in the newspaper, let people know that you're looking for reef rubble or reef rock from an old tank. I'm willing to bet that especially if you're in a larger city, there's probably dozens of people that have a piled up behind their house or beside their shed from an old tank or old project they had. Don't be scared to put an advertisement on one of your rummage sites, see if anybody has it. If they do, take the time to bleach it. If you want more information on the bleaching, let me know. I'll do another video on it. Otherwise, save some money. Use it for your reef. You can practically get it for free from those people. I hope you enjoy this video. So I just wanted to share this. I bought them rocks I showed you in an earlier video. I might put a picture of them in here after this so you know what I'm talking about. Anyways, they were all kind of in rough shape in a tank that had been, let go. So I took them and I put them in these buckets and I've bleached them. I've had them sitting in here for a few days. I've had pumps running in there in the water. I'm going to dump them out here and I'm going to show you how they get bleached out and it almost like new. Just something that I was thinking wanted to make sure you guys are aware it can be done. If you do know somebody that has a tank that they've let go, decided that they weren't going to maintain and the rocks got out of control, and they decided that you were able to pick them up cheap, this is a good way to make a reef and get it started here for little to no money. Okay, I'm just going to dump these out here and show you what they look like after they bleach for a few days. Yeah, you see it, and I'll show the picture here after here if I can pull it up of what they looked like before I started. Now if you look at these rocks, I'll bring it up closer. You can see how I bleached them, got all the gunk out of them. They're pretty much like brand new right now. I'm going to rinse them off good. Then I'm going to soak them actually in RO water for a few more days. Let everything kind of soak off, and then I'm going to lay them out to dry. Once I get them all good and dried out, then I'm going to build one other little reef structure in my tank, and I'll probably store the rest for another project. So I'm not doing anything special here. I'm just basically running regular water over them. This isn't RO water or anything. It's just regular water from the garden hose. I want to kind of rinse off as much of that as I can, get them, basically as much as I can. Like I said, and then I'm going to soak them in RO water for a while, hopefully get rid of any contaminants may be caused from this water I'm rinsing them with. Once I've done that, then I'm going to lay them out and let them sun bake for a while until they're good and dry. Once again, this is a good way to repurpose rock that has been let go to bad, for a better choice of words. Also save yourself some money in the process. Make it so you can have fancier things in your tank for less money. Okay, so I got them basically all done soaking. This is about 2 days after that last video part. I had them in RO water, just took them out here. I'm gonna let them sit. Probably let them sit here in the sun for a good day or two, depending on how hot it gets. We'll see how hot it gets, because I want to get them so that they're really dried out. Get everything dried out of them so I can go through them, see if there's any dead sponges, anything on them. Clean them all off good before I use them, because I want them to be just like basically new dry rock when I start with it. All right, so I'm doing another rock structure for the other corner of the 32.5 gallon Fluval Flex. I like the way it worked the last time so much that I decided I'm going to do it again on this one. The PVC pipe really seemed to work good as far as a stand once I installed it. So I'm going to make another stand here, basically the same thing. As you can see, I'm going to put a little, I'm just doing everything with silicone because it's what I have. I know it's 100% silicone. It's going to be safe for the reef. You know, this way, I mean, there are other products that you can use. I've read an article recently on the certain Gorilla Glues, that type of thing. I'm not familiar with them, so I feel more comfortable with this. But this will be the plan. I'm going to be putting this structure together. I'll be gluing this back in here. I won't make you suffer through that. Basically, what I'm going to be doing here then is I'm going to be taking rocks. Again, I'm going to be threading them on here with holes I've drilled, that type of thing. And then I'll be making some kind of shape out of it that I'm happy with. I'll make sure it's urethane together so that it stays together properly. As I go, I'll show more of it. So as you can see, I've got this glued together, basically nothing fancy, nothing up to any specific measurement, just so it doesn't tilt this way or that type of thing. I've taken and I've drilled a hole. I like the way this rock looks, basically like this. I plan on putting that right in there like this, so that I'll have to glue this on, but it will sit similar to this once it's in the tank. Then this particular rock here, as you can see, I've drilled off to the side on it. I'm going to be sliding that on here, like so. Then I've got this little piece, same thing, I'm going to be putting that right on top. Just kind of locking it in right there. I might even take and, you know, give it a little bit of a gap. I decided that the top PVC pipe, I'm just going to leave this open. That way I have another place already drilled and ready to go. To pop one of them little coral plugs in. Nice place for it to sit right there. I'm going to be drilling more holes around like I did on the other rocks. I'll also be taking and breaking off little different chunks and gluing them so that they're, you know, and covering this piece right in here. I'll show more as I get to that. But right now, this is as far as I've gotten. Okay, so I just want to take you around what I've done here. As you can see, I've taken zip ties. I've put the rocks where I want them. I've zip tied it all together. I had those, the three main pieces slid on the tube. So simply then I was able to zip tie these rocks, this rock, and as we go around, you can see where I've done a rock out front, up in here, up in there. Now I'm going to just take some silicone. I'm not going to bore you with it, but I'm going to take it and I'm going to put silicone in all these cracks wherever they meet the rocks, every one of them. And then I'm going to let it set, all tied together like this till it's dry. Once it's dry, then I'll take the zip ties off, make sure I got the holes drilled in for the corals, so I got more places like this to put in. Just was going to do a little close-up here quick, so you can see the silicone here. It's kind of hard to see because it's clear, but if you look here you can see where it's kind of a clear lakey color. Anyway, so I have it all glued together and we'll be letting it dry, and I'll show you more once we get further. I just wanted to show you guys where I'm at on this. Looks like I got it glued. I had let it set here. It's been sitting here actually a couple days. I had a while to get back to it. So basically I had zip tied it all together, as you can see. Basically how I wanted it to stay once the silicone is dry. And you can see, if you look up close, you can see the different silicone on it. I will be putting some rocks on that, another little bit of silicone, you know, just kind of decorate it up. I believe as though typically that stuff would cover up quite nicely once you have it in the tank for a while. Once again, I did use the same glass bit, drilled holes in different areas for these here to sit, so that when I do have corals, I can put them in there. I'll show you this side's a little better here. So if you look on this side, you can see how I have this here, then I have one here, I have one here. This isn't working good, just 1 second. Alright, so let's turn the camera around this way. Alright, this will be better. So now you can see, like I said, I have one here. And I'm not going to necessarily use all these holes. I don't know where the water flow and everything's going to land on the tank, so I kind of went crazy. I put them, you know, all over the place. Put them down here, like so. Put one over here. I just want to make sure that wherever I got them, you know, like this one here, I got one that goes here. Wherever I got them and wherever the water flow goes, once I get the tank set up, I can focus more on placing them in the holes that I want them in versus trying to mess with the whole water flow in the tank. Next step here is going to be I'm going to cut these zip ties off. Then I'm going to take this whole piece, being as I had bleached this rock, and I had it set out here to dry while I was working on it. It's pretty dry, but I'm still going to take and stick it in a bucket of water. I'm going to use a bottle of this, just standard chloramine remover. Let it soak for a day or so, make sure it gets any chloramine, you know, that was in the bucket out, or I mean in the rock, I should say. And then I'll let that dry out again, just to give it another evaporation cycle, and then I'm going to drop it in the tank. And I'll show you that as well. Alright, so I just wanted to add this in here. This is basically where I stuck the rock. I have some other rock that I'm also trying to get that I bleached. So there's more than just the piece in here, but basically I'm taking this stuff. I'm just going to take it and dump it right in. And let it set. I'll probably put a pump in there, let it mix around for a while. And that'll be it. So it's gotten a little windy out here. I'm going to do this quick. This has been a couple days. I'm going to take these rocks out of the water that I have the dechlorinator in, and I'm going to let them air dry. So this might be just a little bit of overkill. I'm pretty sure that as far as any chloramine has been removed from it. I still think though I'm just going to have them set here for a day. Maybe 2 days in the sun, let them dry out good. Make sure any evaporation needed is worthwhile. That way, when I put this one here, this big one, and maybe a couple of these small chunks in the tank, I don't have to worry about it doing anything. So now that I've bleached these rocks, I've put them in the dechlorinator. Got them out here now a couple days in the sun. They've got no more bleach smell to them at all. They're just basically ready to go. So I'm going to start putting these in the tank, and then we'll see how they look. Okay, so I'm going to be putting in one of the final pieces of live rock, and then I'll be putting in a few pieces around it here just for decoration. This is the piece. As you can see, I've Alright, that is the final piece of the puzzle. I got the holes in here for the different corals. It may look a little crowded right now, but part of it is because of the shape of this. It's got kind of a magnifying. I do have a couple of small pieces I just want to scatter around. This is kind of just a piece of branch that I had. There is a couple of this one is kind of a unique one. I also have holes in that. I just want to put that kind of in the front here. Actually, you know what? I'm going to put it back here. Maybe we'll do it right here. Just right down in the. This one, I wanted to put back here kind of as a little bit of a gate. Place for the fish to hide. Okay, so I know this isn't, you can see here how I put that in there. I have the Molly's still in there. She's pregnant. I'm hoping to do a video on her having babies, so you can see that in the saltwater tank. Not that it's a whole lot different than freshwater, but something. But that's where I'm going to go from there. As you can see, a small amount of algae is starting to form here from, it's been set up now for about a month while I'm getting these rock in. So